We turn now to breaking news. We have just learned the identity of the homicide victim discovered at a gruesome scene in a Greenfield apartment this week. The Northwestern DA's office identifying that victim as 35-year-old Christopher Hairston, last known to have lived in Pittsfield. Hairston's body was found in an apartment on Chapman Street after police were called in to investigate a foul odor. Now, upon investigating further, police identified 42-year-old Daniel Herberger Brown, the former tenant of that apartment, as a suspect. Police arresting him on Monday night at Albany International Airport in New York, where he had fled to. He's since been arraigned in a New York court and remains there pending extradition to Massachusetts at an unknown date.